Growing up in the late 90s to early 2000s, names like Tony Hawk, Dave Mirra, Travis Pastrana, these guys were like superstars. But jump forward to now, 2022. The skateboard has been replaced by the controller. Names like Tommy Innit, Ninja, KSI, PewDiePie, these are the superstars of our generation. But is this a good thing?
Are you kidding me?
But ladies and gentlemen, there's no way anyone beats him! Your Fortnite World Champion!
In the 90s, with the launch of the X Games, the rise of skateboarding, not only as an activity, but like a fashion and a culture. It was insane how quickly this cultural wave from California swept the entire world and redefined a generation of children.
Look at all these kids. There's like 4,000 people there, and I'm just like, I can't believe this.
But at the same time, another cultural wave was quietly brewing.
That's where Pokemon for Game Boy is here, with both packs you can get.
Video gaming. In the 90s, video gaming was changing. Beforehand, you'd spaff all your pocket money at the local arcade, and now you had home systems. The Atari, the Sega Mega Drive, the PlayStation 1. Believe it or not, these dusty looking machines were actually like state of the art at the time.
It may look like a harmless bagel toaster, but inside is a deadly donut.
But you see, despite how big gaming was becoming, especially in the late 90s to early 2000s, kids would often still grab their skateboard over their PlayStation. They would go outside, play in the streets, and come home when it was dinner time, and then jump on Crash Bandicoot. As opposed to spending all day playing video games. But why is that? Hold up, before we go any further, I want to give a massive shout out to Raid Shadow Legends for sponsoring today's video. Raid is the first game to bring that like true console-like gaming experience to your phone. Explore millions of champion combinations and master countless tactics as you take on raid bosses, dungeon runs, campaign battles, and PvP. Throughout my time playing Raid, my favorite champions are Bellinor of the High Elves. Your boy's just like a big hitter. And then you got Elder Skarg of the Barbarians, and he's able to like build up and use all of the different buffs. The game is so immersive and you can really get lost in the world of Raid. And right now is the best time to get into Raid. If you click the link in the description or scan my QR code on screen, you'll get a free starter pack worth almost $30. We're talking a free epic champion Aina, 200k silver, 1 energy refill, 1 XP boost, and 1 ancient shard. So you can summon awesome champions as soon as you get in the game. All this will be waiting for you right here. Anyway, back to the video. Well, I mean, you can only speculate. Like, one reason could have been cost. A PlayStation 1 cost $290 when it was released, which is the equivalent price today of about $551, which is quite a bit pricier than a piece of wood that has wheels on it. But you know, price aside, honestly, video games just weren't cool.
Is this, the house party?
In the 90s, your image of like a typical video gamer was someone who would live in their parents' basement. It would crack under half a second of eye contact. It would call the outside world normies, you know, kind of like a modern day Redditor. Whereas skaters were the cool cats. Avril Lavigne wrote a song called Skater Boy. She didn't write a song called Gamer Boy. Skating was cool, video games weren't. But, you see, there's a massive part of this story we're kind of missing.
Tony Hawk's pro skater. Now everyone thinks they can skate like Tony.
The Tony Hawk series completely changed an entire generation of children. And overnight, they went from being these happy little kids playing with their Lego sets into angsty skater kids who wanted to rebel against the system. You see, what's interesting is this all happened whilst video games existed. And they were popular, like most kids did play games. But instead of like completely replacing extreme sports, they somehow coexisted peacefully. And in fact, would inspire kids to go and pick up skateboards, BMXs, rollerblades, whatever. But something has changed in the last 10 or so years. We've all kind of noticed that kids just don't really play out in the streets anymore. The skate parks are less busy than they used to be. Professional skateboarders and BMXers aren't of like the same caliber of superstar that they used to be. But the question is, why? Well, we're gonna get a little bit scientific for a second here. A study from Sustrand shows that the modern child plays outside half of the time that their parents did in their generation. Now, like, a knee-jerk reaction to hearing that information might be to point the finger at video games, but I don't think that paints a full picture. The Guardian goes on to say, the sight of a child using his or her own street as a playground is increasingly rare because of fears over traffic and knife crime. There's another website called Active for Life, and they quoted a study saying, parental concerns about safe safety are the most common reasons as to why kids are not permitted to roam and play. So basically it's the parents' fault. Now what it is that parents have become more and more worried about their children, like their safety. They're scared of what's going to happen to them if they're left to their own devices outside. And so therefore a culture has been built of children staying indoors where it's safe. All of that added with the fact that iPads, Xboxes, phones are very easy to access and entertain yourself endlessly with. And so it's this kind of perfect recipe for kids to stay inside chugging G Fuel and cranking 90s on Fortnite. So I tried to look into whether this fear that parents have of their kids being abducted by aliens or something. I tried to see if this is warranted. And from what I can see, at least in the UK, is that violent crime is actually considerably down from the 90s. The Crimes Against Children Research Centre has also shown that trends in child victimization are considerably down from the 90s as well. Yeah, parents in the 90s would kick you out the front door and tell you don't return until the streetlights go off. So there's this kind of irrational fear that has increased in the last 10 or 15 years. And when you build this culture of fear over your child's safety, and when every time that your child is restless and bored, you just slap an iPad in front of their face and hope they shut up, then what do people expect? Of course, they're going to be obsessed with games. It's the only thing that they get some freedom with. We all know that kids have this need to be entertained constantly, and that's an amazing thing. It makes them curious, it makes them hyper creative. In the 90s to early 2000s, we would have these little skater kids who would grow up into like Ryan Sheckler. Nowadays, kids are still doing incredible things, but now it's online, it's in Minecraft. Kids these days go on to be like YouTubers and professional gamers, all kinds of things. There's a lot of good that has come out of it, but the problem is, with all these kids sitting indoors constantly, there are negative consequences. In the US, childhood obesity is massively on the rise since like the 90s. In the last 10 or so years, the cases of child mental health issues are dramatically higher. Now, of course, I'm not trying to say that this is because the kids aren't listening to Linkin Park and skateboarding down the streets, but I really don't believe keeping kids indoors all day, socializing far less, and not going outside falling out of trees, I don't think it's helping. But I want to tell you, not all hope is lost. Over the last 10 or so years, there has been a massive rise in, wait for it, scooter kids. Now before you laugh, watch these clips. People like Ryan Williams have inspired a whole generation to pick up scooters, go outside, slam, send it, do what they do, and it has led to the modern skill level of scootering to be absolutely nuts. Despite the many pretentious people that like to talk shit on scooter kids.
Scooters in the skate park?
I don't know, dude.
I think they should stay at home.
If you want a full scooter video, comment below. And on top of all this, there is that new game called Riders Republic, which I reckon will inspire kids to go outside and try some downhill sports. And Skate 4 was announced. And ever since the lockdowns, a lot of sports like rollerblading and roller skating have seen rises in sales. So when we see something like scootering on the rise, we should encourage it. And build up the next generation and be good role models. Gaming is great. I'm a big gamer, I love gaming, I'm never going to talk poorly on gaming. But it's so important for young people to live a balanced life. The hours and hours and the emotional roller coaster of trying to get a trick, constantly failing and failing, but eventually getting it. Going out with your friends and creating challenges for each other to do teaches you like a self-reliance and gives you a confidence. And so I believe it's important for people in the action sports world to encourage the next generation to go outside and send it. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel and watch this video right here.